10 experiences we wanted to skip, but we ended up loving. And we basically had to drag each other on.
Story of my life. This
Right.
is literally the story of my life in the podcast here. This is great. I love this episode because there's a lot of things that I did not want to do, and I ended up doing, and now I love. Like, some of them are kind of like my favorite things now.
I feel like you should almost kind of trust me now. We recently did an excursion, an adventure that we'll share soon, that you really were kind of like, I don't know if it's going to be worth it. And you always seem to have a good time. So I feel like, you know what? 99% of the time, I'm right.
That's true. I mean, maybe that's going to be my new philosophy. There's low expectations and then just trust Connie.
Okay, I like it.
But you can't push the envelope, though. You know, you got to know you got to know the limits of like what is going to be good for me and not for me. But also for the kids and you.
Right, that's true. Well, we're going to go into top vacation experiences that we initially didn't really want to do, AKA living that low expectation life. But honestly, it was, whether it was you and I or you with us with the kids, like one of us at some point didn't want to do this. And then it's just so fun to see kind of the reaction afterwards, because everybody kind of has a good time afterwards. And you're like, oh, I wouldn't have done that if you didn't kind of push me.
This is going to be an interesting list because there's a couple things on here that you didn't want to do.
Right.
Which ended up being really big parts of the podcast.
Because let's be honest, I want to do everything most of the time. So, but there are a few that really pushed us.
We'll talk about those couple things in here too. But first off, thank you so much to everybody inside Club UTM. If you want to go join our Club UTM, you can go do that, clubutm.co. Back on Patreon, and also the merch store is back up. I know a couple people messaged us that the merch link was broken, or there's a couple of shirts were sold out. So everything's fixed. The store is back up and running. Everything's back in stock. unlockingthemagic.com/merch if you want to go direct there. Or you can go to our website, Unlocking the Magic, and there's a merch button there. Just click that. You can also check out the podcast, YouTube channel, all that good stuff.
We got some really popular shirts on there. We really just want to thank you for the support over there. I know some of the things got sold out, which is awesome to see. And I love seeing your pictures when you submit to us through whatever platform, social media, whatever, you wearing the merch, the T-shirts in the parks, whether it's a T-shirt or hat or whatever. I love that. It makes my day. So thank you.
There's a shirt I have. It's called Pizza Police.
Yeah.
I'm actually wearing it now. I'm wearing my Pizza Police hoodie if you're watching on the YouTube channel. We went to Disneyland recently. I got so many not compliments, but like interactions with people wearing this shirt that I'm like, maybe we should do like a whole police series, like Chimichanga Police or like Dole Whip Police. Just have people wear that.
Everybody loves it. And then people were saying like they needed to get it, which was really funny. Well, this episode, I got to shout out a special thanks to Kelly Mars. Speaking of Club UTM and Patreon, thank you so much for this idea. And also Patrick Phelan, because we're also going to be sharing things that we'd rather die than doing again. That obviously is a movie quote. If you know the movie quote, put it in the comments. If you're watching this on YouTube, please let us know if you think you know where that's from. We say it all the time.
We do.
And also stay tuned, because we're also going to share some listener comments and responses on things that they weren't expecting to have a good time doing.
Great. I'm excited for this one.
All right. So starting things off, we got to talk about this one is, I think it's a state of mind more than anything, but this is visiting the parks in the rain.
Off. Did you turn my microphone off so I wouldn't comment on this one? This is a good one. Although I'm not sure I'm 100% in with like doing this. This was a good one to start off with because it's like slowly getting us into like, I never wanted to do it. We did it. And it's like, okay.
This comes with terms and conditions.
Definitely. This is like getting our toe in the water. Like, I'm not sure if I'm 100% down with going in the rain. Like I've seen some TikTok videos and YouTube reels in, videos of like people going to Disney parks in a downpour. And they look like they're having the time of my life. And all I can think to myself is, what a nightmare. Time of their lives. I'm having the time of my life watching them and being dry.
Being home.
But they look like they're having a blast.
I mean, let's face it, right? If you're planning a Disney vacation and you're waiting all this time, or a Universal vacation, whatever, theme park, Disneyland, anything, you're not really going to kind of wait around if the weather's bad.
True.
And just not go to the park at all. I can understand maybe like alternating, adjusting your plans here and there. But for the most part, if it's going to rain all week and you happen to be there and it's been a vacation you've been planning all year, you got to kind of...
You got to go, I guess, right?
You got to go.
Mother Nature don't give no refunds.
And that was us. Like for the longest time, I don't know if it was luck or what have you, but it would be a rainy park day for like an hour or whatever. We kind of dodged visiting in the rain, but we were happening to be at the parks, at the resorts, and it was going to be raining pretty much every single day. And we said, you know what? We just we got to figure it out. We actually got to go buy a poncho for this. Like, get ready and just make the best of it. And honestly, I mean, people do say that there's shorter lines and there's more cozy experiences. And I wasn't a believer, but guess what? I'm a believer now.
I think the difference is the first time we actually experienced the parks in the rain was Disneyland, and it was more of a drizzle.
Yeah.
When you go to Florida sometimes in the summer and they have those downpours, I don't know if I could do that.
Well, there is a YouTube video about it. We kind of, you'll see the rain and you'll see kind of us making the best of it. And we bought, by the way, I'm a big dollar tree poncho person because I hate spending money on extra. But you know what? Those in-park ponchos, they're actually, I hate to say it, they're actually worth the price.
What were they, like $12 or something like that?
They're a lot more than $1.25, which I'm used to, but they didn't tear. And in fact, they've said that if I have to be careful here because I didn't actually do it. But I've heard that if something happens and there's a defect, you can go exchange it.
Huh.
So we'll see. But I really like the quality. Anyway, I'm a believer in that now too.
I like those ones, and it was on October of last year. We did a rainy day at Magic Kingdom. That's the video on YouTube. So if you want to go subscribe to our YouTube channel, that's it over there.
All right, next one is, what do we got on the list?
Oh, the next one. I'm up. This is my turn, right? Oh. Next one on the list is cruising. So this is something that I never thought I would do, and I think we just said, you know what, we got to try it out. We're doing this podcast. We probably should go on a cruise, and Disney does a good job of making these four-day cruises where they're not as long as a whole week.
You said it's so funny. Oh, we gotta go on a cruise.
We gotta go on a cruise. Like, I feel like we had to at that point. We've been doing the podcast for a long time. People were asking us about it. I felt obligated to try it out. You know, I took one for the team. I said, you know what? Fine, I'll go on a cruise.
The kids really, really pushed you.
I
think the kids really saw, and this was a Disney cruise, and they were all about it, and they had remembered moments of when they had gone when they were little. I think our youngest at the time, our first cruise was like, she was very young, maybe 8 years old. And they were just looking at the images and videos of Castaway Cay and just all these things that they really wanted to do. But so anyway, they really pushed us.
They did. And I'm glad they did because I enjoyed it. The first cruise I went on, I wasn't still 100% a cruiser after that cruise. It was like, but it was a learning process. It was things like you can go on a cruise and like, it was feeling it out. It's like, all right, this is my first cruise. I want to go on here, see how I can adjust and make this the best experience. And I think it was a learning process.
I think not to do a plug, I'm going to do a plug, I guess. But honestly, you think of things like Disney parks and how it can be kind of overwhelming and confusing with all the new things that they're laying out. So you think of using somebody like a travel advisor to kind of help you guide, right? Whereas a cruise, you can essentially go on, look at the cabin you want, blah, blah, book it. Honestly, that was our mistake. I feel like you really do need somebody on your team to kind of help you decide not only what cruise line to go on, what ship specific. There's so many Disney boats out there. There's like the Magic, you got to kind of really understand what your style is. And I think once we figured that out, where I can say I'm now, I mean, I've always loved boats, but I really can say I'm a cruiser.
Yeah, you got to talk to somebody who's been on the ships. And because the ships, when you look at the names, they're all magical names. But the ships are very different. Yeah, so I was talking to somebody, the guy in the chair, and he said January is the best time to go.
Smooth sailing. So according to a lot of resources is the fact that you're most likely going to get calmer seas during the month of January. But that still wasn't a draw for me. I was kind of like, oh, it's going to be cold. The weather was saying low 70s, and I'm thinking you're going to be on a boat. It's going to be windy. It's just not going to be. I don't want to go and spend all this money and go on a Disney cruise line and then feel cold the whole time. I mean, granted, if we did something like an Alaskan adventure, which is awesome, and I would love to do that, you prepare for the cold. But I didn't really want to be in that position where we're going to Castaway Cay, and I was literally looking up wetsuits before the trip. Like, I was like, I just don't want to be cold. But what I didn't realize was that 70s is actually really, really hot. It wasn't really hot. It was warm because the sun is so strong the further south you get. Obviously, should have known that, but it didn't click. Anyway, I apologize for putting up such a stink. because I really didn't want to do that.
Well, we made you go, and the only choice we had, and it ended up being really good. The guy was right. Calmer seas, very smooth seas, almost like glass out there. Very small waves, calm seas, and the weather was very consistent. Every day was between like high 60s, low 70s, and pretty sunny. It was great. I suggest you go, even though it's people say may not be the best time to go. I loved it.
I had a great time, and my only regret is being kind of miserable the whole time leading up to it. Like I remember packing and just being kind of, I was just thinking, oh, there's got to be a better time to go. And anyway, if I could just take that back, I ate my words. I should have just realized that it was going to be, well, it's obviously, I mean, it is always going to be a good time. It's what you make of it, of course.
That's true.
All right. Next one, I think that I kind of push and pull people to do. And by people, I mean you, Bruce. But this is just doing some of the smaller, less exciting, maybe underrated, in my opinion, attractions in the parks.
Like what?
So I think going to see some of the things like Country Bear's Musical Jamboree. By the way, the newer show, I kind of like it.
It was fun.
And
I think they did a good job making you feel like you know the songs.
Yeah. And I always used to say, oh, I don't want it to be feeling too commercialized, but I enjoyed it. I had a really good time. It's the same old country bears that you've grown to love if you're very nostalgic like I am, but also it's fun to know the words of some of the music and sing along with the bears. But anyway, watching the Dapper Dans, I can never stop watching them. Like, to me, that just makes that feeling of being in the park, it amplifies it, and seeing all the cast members and all their incredible talents that they do, things like that. And another thing that I did recently, I did it alone, which I don't know if people would get the opportunity to do that per se, but I had so much fun. This was just going on Pirate's Lair on Tom Sawyer Island inside Disneyland.
You did go to Disneyland alone, but the day we were leaving, like for a couple hours, which was interesting to see.
I had to go do a couple things, and, I didn't really want to drag my family because it was the day we were checking out, and they were kind of like groggy. They wanted to enjoy the resort the last few minutes of it, and I thought, I've got to do this. I've never done a park day alone before, and I think I did. I took a lot. I mean, I had my camera with me the whole time. I met some friends. It was really fun, but what I really loved was that I got to do whatever I wanted, and I didn't have to convince anybody. But I highly recommend going on Pirate's Lair now. And I don't know if it's because I know that the Walt Disney World version is leaving, so it gave me a new sense of appreciation, or the fact that I was alone, and those caves are actually a lot more creepy when you're by yourself.
Yeah, probably that.
Like, my eyes took a long time to adjust to the darkness and everything, and you go through, and you're Davy Jones. It's just pretty intense. So I really love it, but I think that those are the things that really make a park experience that much more fun, and I don't think you should feel like you're missing out.
It's hard to do that, though. It's hard to not feel like you're missing out, because you look at whatever park you're in, let's say, California Adventure or Disneyland, which you were, you see Matterhorn, or you see Pirates or Haunted Mansion. You're like, oh, I got to go on that. Why would I go to Tom Sawyer Island or go on the canoes on the river?
I know.
But like, you go on it with your family, and sometimes our best memories are those ones, not riding Haunted Mansion. It's going on the canoes together.
It's just silly fun. It's silly, old-fashioned kind of fun
Totally.
That makes it really special. But also things like looking for hidden Mickeys, hunting or finding the smaller Easter eggs. That's a lot of what we talk about, unlocking the magic, just kind of pulling all those little pieces and I think it helps you be more in the moment, which makes the park experience that much more better.
Yeah.
And for like Universal, even the horror makeup show, I don't think you wanted to go in that.
No, I don't think I wanted to. I don't know what I thought the makeup show was. I thought it was maybe more gory and not funny. It ended up being like a comedy show.
I feel like, does Universal not do a great job of marketing that? Because I think everybody says that. They're kind of afraid, or they think their kids are going to be scared, or I guess horror makeup show. I mean, what would you expect?
It was there was parts where it was, movie gory, but they do warn you of those parts coming up, and it was more fun and interesting to see how they did the process of making those horror films back in the day. To me, I'm interested in that, which I don't think they do. That's what they don't do a good job of. They don't do a good job of making you look at it like almost like I don't want to say a history lesson, because that's boring, but more of like how they did it back in the day, you know?
I feel that was triggering. Like, I feel offended.
Well, history, if you said makeup, horror, history, makeup show, people are like, nah. If they don't go to the horror makeup show, they're not going to go one that has history in it.
What about unlocking?
They should do that.
Unlocking the horror makeup show?
Unlocking the magic of horror movies.
Oh, beautiful.
Like, there you go. I just renamed it for them.
Write that down. That's a whole podcast
Like, if they did that, I'd be like, you know what? That kind of sounds interesting. I would love to see how they make horror movies back in the day.
It is a mix of comedy, movie history. There's practical effects. It's not scary. I think that the best thing to do would be, and maybe we could help with that, but like watch some YouTube videos and kind of see it for yourself so you can understand that it's really not something that I think young kids would be afraid of doing. I think it's both fun and fascinating. If I were you, I would definitely recommend going a little early or when there's a show happening, because that's when the lobby is empty, and really looking at all the memorabilia, the movie memorabilia, and reading all the. It's so cool. I could spend a very good amount of time there.
I think you did.
I think I did. Yeah, it was like, what's that over there?
Right.
And I was lost in there for a long time.
All right, so let's go to the next one here. Next one is something that I can't believe I didn't want to do in the beginning. Mm-hmm. But again, I listened to you. We went and
wait. Back it up.
That's recorded, so you don't have to back it up.
Just say it one more time.
I'm not going to say it one more time. Okay. I'm not doing that.
Oh.
But Liberty Tree Tavern, Magic Kingdom. I did not want to go the first time. It's one of my favorite places to eat now, and I don't know what I know what I thought of. I actually do know why I didn't want to go there. We're from New England, and there's so many places that you see or restaurants that you want to go to when you're at Magic Kingdom or any park or resort inside of these parks. And I looked at the menu and I was like, this is super boring. Like, why would anybody eat here and they like pay that much money? Like, I don't want to go eat stuffing and turkey. I can do that any day of the week, and it looks kind of boring in there.
It's $35 to $59. Wait, it's the dinner menu, $59.99 per adult.
Right, and like, well, once you turn 4, you're an adult in Disney, so it kind of sounds expensive when you have a family of 5.
I mean, it feels like that. It feels like when they're 4, they're adults in Disney, because I know can be frustrating, because it is all you care to enjoy, and you're like, eat.
You're like shoving it in their mouth because you want them to get the value. But we went. I decided I'll you know what? I'll take one for the team. Everybody wants to go. I'll go, and I ended up loving it. It's like one of my favorite places to eat now. I love the menu. It is simple, but it's cozy and comforting. And then not only that, but the interior is a very nice place to kind of take a sensory break.
Yeah. The woodworking, like the wood detail, it's dark. It feels very cozy and intimate, and you kind of forget you're in the middle of a theme park.
Yeah, it makes you feel so at home.
Until the parades are going on.
That's true. Then you like feel like you have FOMO because you're eating turkey and there's a parade going on outside. But I can't recommend it enough. I think that, and like, believe it or not, it's one of the easier places to get reservations for.
I kind of hope it stays that way. It's like a weird mix, right? Like, not that we have the biggest influence. I'm not going to pat myself too hard on the back on that. But, like, you almost don't want to talk too much. Like, I made a pact with the kids on one specific thing that they're like, don't talk about this, Mom, please. Like, we want to keep this. But it's a fine line with something like Liberty Tree Tavern, where it is fairly easy-ish to get a reservation. So you're like, I just hope that never are they slow? Like, there's a balance, right? Like, I love that I can eat here pretty much whenever I want, but I never want it to go away.
People probably have the similar feelings to what I had until they try it out.
Until they try.
Or they listen to a podcast that talks about it like us.
You don't go on the website and immediately want to eat here after reading their description. Gobble, gobble.
Not only do I not do that, but I also don't walk by it and think to myself, wow, that's a restaurant that I need to go to.
I have to go eat some mac and cheese.
Right? Like, you just don't hear or it doesn't feel like something that draws you in. But it does, and I agree. Everybody should go. I love it. It's one of my favorite places to eat.
Yeah, I love it too. And the kids surprisingly love it. And we've been taking them since they were very young. And it was, again, just a familiar meal for them and cozy. And so they didn't, so typically, right, kids don't necessarily always know what they need. And so as an adult, you kind of have to know and recognize the signs of, hey, there's a little bit of sensory overload happening. So I think this restaurant makes it the perfect place to kind of sit back, enjoy some good comfort, familiar foods, and then continue on in your day. And
they do just have to do one thing about the whole kids thing, because the kids don't eat that much.
Yeah.
This is a really high. This is the only restaurant where we're like, hey, kids, what's that over there? We just go without them.
At a certain point, right? We have daughters, and they definitely don't necessarily eat as much as I had hoped, right?
Which I don't mind them not. I don't want them overeating and like stuffing themselves. But when you pay $60 for them to go and they eat like a piece of turkey and some potatoes, you're like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
You could have waited outside for us.
I went wrong. I was a competitive eater at a young child. I just, mom fail. Sorry about that. All right. We talked a little bit about Universal earlier, so let me just mention I did not want to stay at a Universal Resort property.
Wait, you missed over two things.
What did I miss over?
You missed over the Lamplight Lounge. What about the Lamplight Lounge?
Oh, I thought it was going to be my turn to talk about because it says Bruce.
Oh, okay.
So I was kind of trying to figure out who's saying what right now. And we could talk about Lamplight Lounge in a minute. We're going to just stay on food.
Yeah, let's stay on food for now.
All right. So Lamplight Lounge, I think this was more you that you didn't want to eat here.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe I didn't think it was. People talked about it though. This is the difference between the Liberty Tree Tavern and Lamplight Lounges. Everybody suggested Lamplight Lounge, but I don't know. Something about it just didn't seem super appealing to me. I don't know what it was.
Because you're in California Adventure and there's so much yummy food at quick services.
That's true. They do have a lot of more options at California Adventure than, say, Animal Kingdom, right? Like,
no.
Yes,
No.
They don't have a lot of options at Animal Kingdom.
You're comparing the wrong thing. It's more better options than Magic Kingdom.
Okay,
that's fair.
We'll say that. But there's a lot of options. So it was never on my radar to be like, let's sit down at Lamplight Lounge and have dinner. But then we did when we were on the Adventures by Disney, and it ended up being a great place to eat, especially where we sat outside overlooking the California Adventure area with the Mickey's Crazy Wheel. I loved it.
The Mickey's Death Wheel was a nice blend when you're drinking your mocktail and enjoying a nacho.
Hearing little screams in the distance while you're enjoying your
tranquility
meal.
of the lake, and then you look up and you're like
blood-curdling screams from the background.
It's just very, very, very. It's a good time. Very peaceful. Lamplight Lounge, I would say, was definitely one of those restaurants where it's nothing. The menu always looked great and the location is amazing, but I was like, there's so many other things to see and do, and I always felt like I was short on time and didn't want to like sit at any particular restaurant while at the parks. But I'm glad we did this because it's definitely deceiving a little bit. Like to me, it kind of seems like bar type food. Like there's burgers and salads, and I don't see it right now on the menu, but there's nachos, potato skins, and things like that, with also really fun drinks. So I was like, I'm not sure. But they do it where, number one, their portions are amazing. I'm a big portion person. And just the ambiance of it and having kind of the setting that you're at. I just think that it's a must visit.
All right, last one on food before we move back to the Universal Resort one. The other one that I didn't want to go to was Nomad Lounge. You made me go, which was another one that people are like highly recommending. Everybody says like, where do you want to go to eat in Animal Kingdom? People are like, you got to go to the Nomad Lounge.
Right, and that one's not necessarily a restaurant. It's more of like a tapas, like very like a snack. What I thought was like a snack. I don't know. Is it worth it? Again, Animal Kingdom, great food, so many places to get a quick bite. Is it worth going here and actually just sitting down and taking time out of your day from your park experience, right? But I can tell you that it is worth it.
Yeah.
And the portions are small, but what we did was we ordered a bunch of things, and it ended up feeling like a full meal.
Which is, I think, the best way to go to a new restaurant is to order a bunch of things. And I love the fact that the portions are smaller here, so you can do that and try a little bit of everything in one visit versus multiple visits being able to try things.
We got to get away from food right now because I'm just realized how hungry I am.
All right, so Nomad Lounge, highly recommended. All three of those places, if you're in those Magic Kingdom, California Adventure, or Animal Kingdom, check them out.
Yeah, definitely, I think worth it for sure. All right, back to Universal. I would say staying at a Universal resort was not in my cart. Like, I wasn't sold on the idea of taking time away from Disney Resort and going to a Universal Resort, right? It's a very hard decision when you're there in Central Florida and trying to pick. But I also realized that going to Universal Parks, you're kind of not doing it. I think you're doing a disservice by not actually staying there. So anyway, we finally decided to stay. And for example, specifically something like Cabana Bay Beach Resort, for the price, for the ambiance, for the theming. I didn't think it would measure up to anything that Disney could do, and I was completely wrong.
I think Cabana Bay might be the most underrated resort in Disney or Universal.
We talked about YouTube earlier. There is a pros and cons of Cabana Bay. I think I did alone. It's on YouTube. Go check that out because I think it is so like when you look at the price and you realize what category it's in, you're kind of like, is it going to be
the type of room you get, the pool, the dining they have there with the quick service, and the 2 different pools and 2 different pool areas that you can go to, plus the proximity to Universal Parks is crazy how close it is. Like it's a long walk, but you can walk there, but there's also buses. You can take the boat. There's so many opportunities to get there quickly. I think it's one of the most, if not the most underrated resort in any Universal or Disney property.
I agree with you. And I didn't think it was going to be as clean as it was. I didn't think it was going to be themed as well. I didn't think you were going to feel like you were at a resort. And I think that's what really, maybe low expectations, but it really blew me away. And we've continued to stay there. So I guess at some point it's not low expectations. Yeah. I really do enjoy it. And there are other resorts there. Hard Rock Hotel, which is another one. Their pool is so pretty. And it's super immersive, and you go underwater, you can hear music, and they just, it's not something I think I was expecting. Now let's say these resorts are actually owned by Lowe's as well. So it's a Universal properties, but the hotels are run by Lowe's. So I kind of think I had that in the back of my mind too. Yeah. Like not to knock Lowe's, but you're like, it's just going to be your regular kind of type of hotel. But no, they really do a great job, and I think you're doing a disservice by not staying at least a couple nights at a resort and then going to the parks that way. I think if you're just going to the park, and a lot of people do this, they like book, they're called ghost rooms. So they'll do Hard Rock Hotel, for example, as a ghost room. So they never actually sleep there, but they get it because it's more cost effective to get the express pass at Universal. But I really do think you're not doing it right that way. Like take a minute, stay at their hotel, wake up, go to the park. Like it's right there. You get the boat ride right there if you're at one of those properties, and it really becomes way more immersive than you'd ever imagine.
I think Universal does a good job of the transportation to the parks. They're very close to the parks, and I used to think Universal was a one-day thing. Like, let's go to Disney, and then maybe we can go to Universal for a day or two. But now I'm like, which park do you want to go to? Like, we're going to go to Disney for a week or Orlando for a week. Where are we going?
Well, now with Epic, I think, too, it's going to be different.
It's going to be crazy.
I think people are going to see it differently.
Volcano Bay, too. Volcano Bay is underrated. I didn't want to go to Volcano Bay. That's not even on this list.
Why is, right? Like, why did they do the volcano so visible from I-4? Because I actually think, were they thinking, you think that, let's make this volcano so tall and pretty that people are going to go down I-4 and going to want to go here?
Probably. I think that it was like a draw, like a billboard for them. Like, let's put this volcano out there so everybody can see it. It makes you want to go. But then to me, I'm like, I don't want to go in my bathing suit right by the highway.
Like, it did the opposite.
How awkward is that?
Yeah, like that's what I'm asking, because I'm like, is that just a failed thing that they thought they thought it was a good idea, but it worked against them? Because when we drive through, and I originally had seen it, now I was looking at it like the same as you, like, why am I going to spend all this time and money over here when I'm not going to feel like I'm at? I'd rather go to Typhoon Lagoon if I'm going to go to a water park and really feel immersed. And I was completely wrong. It's so different. You would never know there's a highway there.
It's my favorite water park.
It
beats both Disney water parks, in my opinion. I think it's great.
That Fearless River, like we like to call it, the Crazy River. So much fun.
It is. It's great. I love it.
So much fun.
That's not even on this list, but I'm going to add that. I'm adding that right now.
All right. My next one is riding Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout in California Adventure.
Didn't want to go on it.
I didn't want to go on it because I absolutely despise the drop. I don't like the drop on, well, I did not. I should say this was past tense. I did not like the drop on Tower of Terror. I used to love going through and everything, but because the story is amazing, but the actual drop was terrifying to me until everything changed when I was kind of convinced. I don't want to say force or that they made me, because but the kids will definitely try and they'll do their best when they're trying to advocate for a specific ride and they want to go on as a family. And how do you say no to that, right? like they're like, Mom, please, like you'll have so much fun. I want to go with you. I'll sit next to you. So anyway, they got me on here, and not only did they get me on one particular week visit, not only did they get me on once on this attraction, but somehow they convinced me to go on multiple times. And as scary as I thought the drop was, which it's pretty intense, I'm not gonna lie. Like you're literally floating when the vehicle goes up or down or whatever it does. The music is so thrilling, and there's so much fun energy that I don't know if it's your adrenaline that's working overdrive, but it's more fun than anything I've ever experienced on an attraction ever.
I was like thinking to myself, as soon as I saw Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout, I immediately went to Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. I don't know why my brain went there.
Well, it has the same. So if those of you that have not yet gone to California Adventure, I would say, and you have been to Epcot and you've ridden Cosmic Rewind and the music and all that and the intensity, I would say it's kind of the same feeling where the music is kind of taking control of the experience. So you're having so much fun because you're I don't know, maybe you're feeling more brave on there. Is that maybe how to explain it? I don't know.
It's a different experience than Tower of Terror in Hollywood Studios. It's Hollywood Studios' version of Tower of Terror. I mean, it's two different things, right? Two different stories. But the Tower of Terror, you come to think, and what it replaces, more of a story, more of an experience. You're going in there, it's like a little bit spooky, a little bit haunting, but there's a story to tell. And then all of a sudden you get this drop. Whereas Mission Breakout, it seems more of a fun thing. Like the second you get into the elevator, it's like, all right, let's make this super fun, super happy. Everybody's laughing and getting scared at the same time, but it's a happy scare.
Yeah, I think that's the difference. So I think that, well, now after riding this, I am now a huge fan of the drop on both attractions. So I'm no longer kind of taking one for the team and sitting on the side holding everybody's stuff. I'm actually going on and I'm having the time of my life. And I think that it's that classic music that plays in the background. It just pumps you up. And like you said, it's really happy. And so that along with the special effects. So it says here that it's the thrilling free fall drop sequence in 6 different storylines to experience. Have we experienced all 6?
I know the last time we went, they said there was an experience that was a little bit more intense than others, and it did feel that way. I forget what song it was.
Yeah,
but
I know, it's
we did end up getting that song. I don't know if it was something that they can manipulate, and like they just say that, so your brain is like, all right, this is going to be intense. Like let's program them to think it's intense before they even get started, and it ends up being more intense, but it was good.
Yeah.
I didn't know they had a Halloween. So it says here on your notes, it says they also have a Halloween version of the attraction, Monsters After Dark.
Yes, a frightening escape. Do you have what it takes to save Groot from the crazed creatures on the loose?
I've yet to experience that, but it sounds fun.
Yeah. Monsters After Dark includes loud sounds in the dark and menacing beasts that may scare some small children. Sorry.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, it's scary.
Why not?
I mean, I've always wanted to experience that one. We've done it. The overlay where it's completely dark. Before it was like we were like the last ones to ride when it was the Tower of Terror. And we happened to do it during a period where it was Halloween and it was completely in the dark. And that's pretty intense. Yeah. That was pretty cool to experience. So I love it. I highly recommend it. I would say you got to just be brave and do it. Do it. I promise you're going to have so much fun. And I think this is probably one of my top attractions. I'm very nostalgic, so I'm always going to say like Space Mountain is my favorite, but this one is high up there.
Next on the list, going on Adventures by Disney. This is mine. I did not want to go on Adventures by Disney because, you know, if you listen to this podcast, you know me, and it's like being around in close proximity to people I don't know.
Yeah.
Didn't sound like a great thing to do. Adventures by Disney aren't cheap either, but they are very good, and they are very immersive, and they do a great job of making you feel like VIP. But I couldn't get past the whole, I'm going to be with like 30 people I don't know. All 30 people I don't know all the time. But it ended up being, yes, it's that.
Yeah.
But you get to know people, and they're so nice that you get to know people over time. You end up, I can't believe I'm saying this out loud, you end up kind of being friendly and friends with those people because you see them for 3 or 4 or 5 days in a row. And you all have the same... Like, you're there for a reason. Like, we're doing an Adventures by Disney in April, end of April, early May. And you're all there for the same reason, because you like the history. You like to be at the Grand Californian Hotel. You want to see the behind the scenes. You want to see certain things that are on the tour. Like, you're all there for the certain reasons, so you all have things in common.
I think that's the key. It's like you're there for the certain reason. So it's kind of like that things.
Except for me, I wasn't there. I was there against my will the first time.
I don't want to say it was against your will, but you were kind of. And this is partly, I think, Disney's fault too, because they highly focus on the group aspect of things, and what they don't tell you once you're there is that there were a lot of people there, solo traveling, and it's not forced. Like, you do things together, but it's also they're very mindful of making sure that every single person has their own experience and that their own time to explore on their own way to make it their vacation.
Yeah.
So as much as, and you can be honest, Bruce, you missed everybody when they left.
I liked it. The first day I was kind of like, oh no. It was a little bit awkward for me. I was a little nervous. But after that first day, first night, you meet everybody, you go to that first dinner, and then you start to do some of the things that they have for you on these Adventures by Disney. The second day, you get comfortable. The second day, you get comfortable with everybody. You're like, all right, I know who that is. I know who that is. I know that person. And
it's kind of like
by the third or fourth day, you're like, wow, where is everybody? Let's hang out.
Really? You said that?
Maybe I didn't go that far. Okay. But I certainly wasn't running away.
I would say it's kind of the same energy that it's when you're staying on the Disney property kind of bubble. It's kind of like that happiness and joy you get with everybody kind of being and wearing their Mickey ears, having their Mickey mug and your Disney mug, that amplifies the feeling. So going on these trips and being around people that really truly love, and like this particular one, it's the Southern California adventure. It's really geared for real deep-rooted Walt Disney fans like us. And so knowing that the person next to you has the same kind of philosophy and things, and like they're really truly intrigued by the history of the company, it just makes for good time, good conversation. So you're automatically friends, which makes the awkwardness not really be there.
Right.
But I definitely had to do some convincing to get you to go, because I've always wanted to do it. And look at you. You're going again.
I know. By the way, we have 2 spots open if you want to join us for the next one coming up. I know it's coming up quick, and if you want to get a quick getaway with us for the longer version of the Southern California Adventures by Disney, this is going to be a great trip. I'm super excited for this. I can't wait to go and meet everybody and hang out. We have 2 spots left if anybody's out there and wants to join real quick at the end.
All right. Now let's talk about some listener comments that they added when we posted quickly, I think it was on Instagram, about what are some things that you wanted to skip but you ended up loving. And the first one was cruising.
Was this me?
This was not you.
Oh.
And the comment says, for years, some people elaborated and others didn't, but this person did. And it says, cruising. For years we said we weren't cruise people. 1 3-day Disney and we were hooked.
Yeah, that's a huge, I think you got to, some of these things you just have to experience, but it's hard. It's right. If you're against cruising, it's hard to be like, all right, let me spend this much money to go on something I don't want to go on.
Yeah.
Like, Disney should do like 1-day trial cruises. Like, we're taking the ship out to turn around. Anybody want to hop on for a day just to check it out?
We're cleaning yeah.
Just so you can see what it really feels like. And then no obligation to buy a longer cruise, but you get to be on the ship. And because I truly feel like once people go on the ship and get to experience it, that's what turns you into a cruiser. Well,
I think also, and there are many different types of cruise lines, not just Disney. There's Royal Caribbean and so many others that are very, very great ships. Like, clean is my biggest thing, and just things to do. Food has to be very
like just being able to sit down at dinner and the server is like, okay, what would you like? And you're like, all of it.
Or they get to know you.
And he's like, okay.
Yeah.
And you're like, really?
They know your drink order by the time, whatever. But what my favorite thing about a Disney cruise line is the fact that, so first of all, I love boats and I love just like the mechanics of everything and seeing how beautiful it is. But the coloring is so good. Like they did such a great job with the theming of it, but also just walking through the corridors and hearing Disney music playing very, very faintly. It's not in your face. It's just so elegant to me. And speaking of that, there's a lot of people I think we have met that have said they thought Disney cruises just for kids.
Yeah.
Or like if you have just for families. And I agree, but I also disagree. I'm like, yeah, of course, it's like a family cruise line. But if you're an adult and you want to go on a cruise and really have like a private island to yourself, go on a Disney cruise, because those areas, those 18 plus areas that are geared for adults, there's a lot less adults there, and it makes it feel like it's your own private sailing. So to me, I'm hooked for that reason alone, because you get the best of both worlds. You get the best of the family fun time, the Disney theming, not so much in your face, but very elegantly done. And then also, if you need to take a break from the kids, and let's be honest, like sometimes, you need it, and they have great daycare, and then you can go enjoy parts of the ship that are for 18 plus, and it's just so great. So anyway, I guess that was a long-winded, I really am a cruiser. What the heck? I didn't mean to go that far into it.
What's the next one?
All right, going to Universal, someone said. We talked about that.
This is a lot of people. I think this is going to be a lot of people listening to this podcast right now, is this one.
I think that I think there's a difference, though. You got to do Universal the unlocking way. I really feel that. And if you need help, please let us know, because I think that knowing some of the Easter eggs in the park, like, who knew that there were like queues in Universal that are actually pretty fun to go through and things like that, or the food, where to eat. I think that it needs to be done in a strategy. If you just show up at, you can just show up at Universal, but if you don't necessarily know some of the great areas or some of the fun, cool, nostalgic things, I think you're going to miss out. All right, next one. This is back to cruising, but somebody else wrote, renting bikes on Disney's private island.
I wonder who said that. We rented bikes, and I enjoyed it so much.
They may have been forced. I mean, I'm not.
Yeah, you're not a biker.
A biker, yeah. And so probably if you ask me, go ride a bike.
Wasn't it fun, though?
So much fun.
Yeah.
If you asked me, though, what I would want to do originally, like before I actually experienced it, if you wanted to ride a bike or sit by the, beach, I would have chosen the latter. So I think kind of, again, the kids convincing me to do this as a family, it really opened my eyes to kind of a little exercise on vacation's okay.
I'm on board with that one.
Somebody said Disneyland.
Who's that person?
I mean, I guess when you think about it, if you're from the East Coast, the flight's so long.
I guess true. A lot of people say that because they think everybody says Disneyland is smaller than Disney World, which it is. But there's still as much things to do, if not more to do in Disneyland than there is the Magic Kingdom. And to me, it's a lot easier to navigate.
It's a lot easier to navigate, but I think also, again, I think you can do it wrong. I think I did it wrong the first few times I was there. I didn't love it as much as I thought I was going to, and then there was a turning point where I did my research, I did a little bit more digging, and I connected a little more, and I think that's key when you're going on vacation. All right, dining at Sanaa is the next one. I was a bit hesitant to dine here, thinking it would be just too adventurous for my family, but everything was absolutely delicious, and my family loved it.
Yeah, interesting.
And also the last one someone said was school bread in Norway. They didn't want to try it. They ended up trying it, and it seems like they loved it.
I'm pretty sure they changed the school bread in Norway. I think they've changed it over the years because I could have sworn it was not as good. I feel like they've milded it out. Does that make sense?
Sure.
They've like
add a little more sugar.
Yeah, they've Epcotted it.
Okay. All right. Let's go on to the last thing, which is a few things that we would rather die than doing again.
A few things we would rather die.
I'd rather die.
Yeah, I would rather die.
Okay. All right.
Nope, I'm going to die.
Well, I asked the kids. I said, what was something that you've done that you absolutely would never do again? And give me, whatever theme park. And the first comment was, and they unanimously agreed to it, was riding Popeye and Bluto's rat barges in Universal.
They got soaked.
This is at Islands of Adventure. And yeah, I mean, I think they went on this one by mistake. I think they thought it was something else. And maybe that has something to do with the fact that they will never ride again. Because when I tell you they got soaked from head to toe, shoes, socks, it was pretty miserable. They did not like that. That's probably a fun ride in the summer, though.
Yeah, definitely if it's hot and humid there.
And you're prepared.
Yeah, definitely got to be prepared because you get soaked. Like, they were drenched.
My next one would be, and this is where I said earlier, was that visiting up the parks in the rain would have to come with some terms and conditions, and that would be, I would rather die than visiting the park when it's cold and raining.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between raining and a drizzle and being cold. I know we went to one day to Hollywood Studios, and it was a super cold day in Florida. And it must have been in the 40s and raining, and it was like just miserable.
Which people have said, like, cold in Florida is so different than anywhere else because it's the humidity that wetness is like also there. So it kind of goes right through your bones. And I was feeling it. And I don't think anything could prepare me for being cold and wet. Like
yeah, you were miserable that day.
I was miserable, and I don't recommend it. I mean, good news is that it doesn't, knock on wood, happen as often. It's mostly warm and raining in Florida. So that's a good thing.
Next one on the list for me is eating at Pizza Planet. I would rather die.
Yeah.
Eat at Pizza Planet. I feel bad. I see people go in there and spend their hard-earned money on horrible pizza, and I'm like, what are you doing? You're in Disneyland. There's literally hundreds of other places to eat around the area, and between Disneyland, California Adventure, or the downtown Disney, within walking distance of Pizza Planet, to get something better. Why would you go there?
I don't know. But I didn't think you were going to elaborate, because I thought that sentence was all you needed to say.
Nope, I'm going to die.
I mean, it's cool theming. And every time we walk by, it's right next to Space Mountain. I kind of want to go in because
well, go get your food somewhere else and bring it into Pizza Planet.
Not a bad idea.
You know?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Get yourself a nice snack and go in there and enjoy. Yeah, the theming. It's not a bad idea, actually.
Doing that next time, because I do agree. It's kind of cool theming to see the movie atmosphere in the restaurant, but just don't eat the pizza.
Well, speaking of food, I would rather die than doing an all you care to enjoy, like the Liberty Tree Tavern or something, on the day of a party event. So the after-hour party, whether it's a Halloween party or the Christmas one, I really thought in my head it was a good idea. It's like, we'll go early, we'll do a full meal, and that way we won't have to be hungry, because I know we've done the opposite in the past where we've gone to a party starving, and then you couldn't get to certain areas or eat, and it was kind of a letdown or whatever. And I cannot be hangry. Like, that's just not how I am. But the opposite is also true. If I'm overly stuffed, I have the worst time. And turns out it was not a good day. Maybe it is for some people, but not for me. And what was really a big letdown was this happened during the Christmas party. And one of the best things about the Christmas party is going around and trying the cookies and all that. And I just remember not being able to enjoy anything. And I was so disgusted. Like, you would say, oh, well, just take the cookie, it's packaged, and bring it home and enjoy it tomorrow or whatever. And it turns out I was so full, I couldn't even do that. Like, you know how sometimes when you're full and you have like a big breakfast and you're like, all right, what are we having for dinner tonight? Like, I don't even want to discuss the topic.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I can't even think about that. So it was just a big letdown. So anyway, again, could work for you, but not for me.
Well, that's going to do it for the list. Those are great. Those are good things. There's probably going to be more as we do more of these Disney trips and realize that, we haven't experienced every single thing there is. But these are the things that maybe you should experience. So if you're on the fence on any of these, let us know. Let us know what you think of these items that we had on our list here, whether you watch on YouTube or the podcast. What was the question of the show? Where's I Would Rather Die come from?
I mean, I guess, yeah.
Question of the show. If you got this far, drop it in the comments.
All right.
I'll put it on Spotify. If you listen to this on Spotify, you can ask a question. Where did I Would Rather Die come from?
Okay.
What movie did it come from?
All right.
Thank you so much for tuning into the podcast, everybody. See ya.